Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How's it going, friend? My name is Talia Joy. I hope you are well today. As I am recording, the rain is pouring down. We are on the wet coast, as they call it. I'm on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, and it is a tropical rainforest, but it is because it is rain. Emphasis on the rains. We have these seasons where it definitely is doing that. Today is a pouring day, but we've got a wood fire going. I've got some warm tea. We're good to go. So today we are going into 10 ways that you may be unintentionally holding yourself back. And if you have listened to a few episodes, you get my tone by now, right? I never come in shame. In fact, personally, I kind of close down when mentors, teachers, coaches kind of have that attitude of like, you know what you have to do and you're doing this and stop it. And it kind of feels all like, because often, especially you listening, we often are doing things that we're not aware of. You are very wise. You've been on this self-growth path for a while. You are into self-discovery. And often they're blind spots. They're things that we don't know. So we don't need to shame ourselves, even if you're like, oh my goodness, I've totally been doing that. And I even knew about that. Like, don't go into what's wrong with me because that just adds more. We're just going to talk about it today. We're just going to illuminate it. And I know that I personally have done every single one of these 10 things and have to always remind myself of the way that this works too. So sometimes it feels like no matter how hard we try, that progress is out of reach, or we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And if it feels like you don't know why you're held back, or you feel like you should be experiencing more results by now, they're not roadblocks, they are detours. I always say that, right? A roadblock is just a detour in a different suit. So we are looking at shifting that. Today I'm going to bring up 10 things, and I guarantee you're going to see yourself in at least a couple of them because, again, this is me. I see this in my clients. Literally, if you are human, you are probably experiencing these. So I cannot wait to dive into that. The other thing I want to do before we launch in is invite you to the year-end workshop. I am so excited to be hosting this year's 2024 wrap-up workshop where we process the year, we learn the lessons, we release, we get excited to move forward. We really tune into what our soul is calling us for and what it looks like to live that, map out some action, map out a plan, and it's just going to be so good. I have done one of these workshops for every single year I've been in business. And this is my 9th year. So I've either done 8 or 9. I forget which year I started. But we do this every year. It is such a powerful way to wrap it up. So if you want to join that, the link is below. I'd love to see you in the workshop. It is on Zoom. It's going to mix energetics with coaching and practical tools. It's a workshop, but we're also going to do some energy activation, a little bit of meditation in there, some energy work to really cut through the noise and tune into what is next for you after we process and release this year. So I invite you to that. And I think that's it. Without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Grab your chia jar, grab your turmeric tea, and let's do this. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. Hello. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in. The first thing that we do that holds us back and we don't even realize it is comparing ourselves to others. So if you compare yourself to others, this will create doubt. It will distract you. It will have you running around in circles of like, oh, I should be getting the results they do, or why can they do it and I can't, or comparison, whatever. Comparing yourself to others is poison. So some of you are totally aware. Yep, I do this. Other people, it may be more subtle. I know recently I just had a breakthrough in my own life, like literally a couple weeks ago, where I didn't think I compared myself to others, but what I did realize is I compare myself to the fullest expression of myself. So I'll get really frustrated when it's like, I know that I'm capable and I know what I'm meant for, and I know that I'm here for like transformation in this area, or to transcend this, to heal this, to create this, like, and I'll get so frustrated. So whether you compare yourself to others or compare yourself to some perfect version of yourself, comparing yourself in general is going to kill your life force energy. It is literally poison. It creates self-doubt. It distracts us from our unique journey, and it immediately makes us feel like we're not making enough progress, like we're not where we're supposed to be. And one thing I hear from spirit for other people, and then I hear it for myself, and it's equally as frustrating, is like, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and you are on your success journey. And even if your success journey looks different, you can't just take what one person has accomplished in one area of life and compare it to yourself, because there's things that you have had to overcome that they didn't. There's things that you have already transcended that they haven't. There are different reasons. Also, things online and even like our favorite authors or teachers, there's more behind the scene than what meets the eye. Like, you don't see their everyday life. You don't see everything that they've done. You don't see the days where they quote unquote sabotage because they're just not feeling it. So to compare yourself to anyone is just not fair to yourself. And I also like to remember, I don't remember if somebody said this to me or if it was intuitive or if I just deduced it. I don't remember. But an overnight success is like 10 to 20 years in the making. So whenever we see an overnight success, there have been 100 million things behind the scenes that they have healed, acted on, help they had, different components. There is no such thing as overnight success without any amount of work. So sometimes you're comparing your middle or your 70% of the journey to someone else's 90, but they've just been doing it longer, or they didn't have to overcome some of the things you did. Like, just remembering that you are on your path. And we are all going to get to the light at the end of the tunnel, at the end of this lifetime. We're all going to pass on at some point. This is a temporary experience. So to compare your progress or your skin or your body or the way you are in life to someone else is just poison. I really feel like, first of all, it's part of our survival. Like, we do this to survive. We want to know how we stack up, and we want to be the strongest. We want to be, get accolades, get love. There's a lot of ways that there are a lot of reasons we do this. Even like our inner child wants to feel like we're doing a good job. And, for survival, we want to come out on top. And there's lots of reasons. But we are in a modern time when having awareness of comparing yourself to others will really help you. And just putting on your frickin' blinders, focusing on your progress. And the thing I want to say to that is, don't focus on somebody else's progress. Focus on yours. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. Compare yourself to you a year ago, to you 5 years ago, and realize you're exactly where you're meant to be. And if someone were to take perfectly positioned photos for Instagram, it could look like you have it all together as well, even if you feel like a mess behind the scenes. That's literally like, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, because it is so just like one snapshot of one moment in time, probably with a filter, probably with the perfect music that makes you feel something. It's not complete total reality. So comparing yourself to others, whether it's online or just people in your real life, it's not fair, and it's poison to yourself. So we got to stop doing that. Compare yourself to you. Compare yourself to where you've been and look at how far you've come. Okay, the second thing that we do, I got to make sure I'm getting through these in a timely manner because we have 10 of them today. I thought there was going to be 6, but as I was writing it all out, just more wanted to come forward. So number 2 is waiting for clarity to act. And guys, we all do this. So I want you to look for where you might be doing this. We think, I will act when I'm clear. And I have this because I want to act intentionally, especially when it comes to like my business and plans. I want to be in purpose. I want to be in alignment. So there's a degree of making sure something feels right before just like guns a-blazing, making sure that investment feels right, making sure that this is the direction you want to go. I totally get that. And often clarity comes after taking action. So clarity comes as you start to feel it out. So for example, say you didn't know which degree program to go into. It was two vastly different careers. You don't have to just enroll in one and then realize, oh crap, that wasn't it. And then, oh, I lost $50,000 or whatever. It's actually more about like the more you lean into one, you start to get clarity. So maybe you start watching videos about something, or you tour the school, or you talk to somebody who's in that profession. Through that, you will start to get more clarity. So no matter what, clarity comes through action. Clarity doesn't often drop in when you're on the couch. Like, of course, sometimes we go like, oh, yeah, totally. But when we're really trying to change our lives, when we're trying to move forward, we can get stuck in, they call it analysis paralysis. Like, I just got to figure it out. I just got to know it's the right path. I just have to map it all out. I just have to before we will act. But really, as you act, you gain clarity. So say we're talking about health and you getting strong, but you've got maybe some body stuff where maybe you have knees that hurt, or you have some sort of, thing going on. So if you go try something, that will give you further clarity. If you go take a class, if you go out for a walk, if you try a YouTube workout, if you do a certain yoga class, you will then get clarity. Yes, that felt so good. Or no, I need to do something that is less impact for my knees. Or, I liked that, but I'll go to that class once in a while. I think I'm going to try Pilates next. Like, it's as you act, you get clarity. The GPS is working in your life. I use this example a lot. Life is guiding you through your intuition, which is like a GPS. It's telling you, turn left, turn right, yes to this, no to this, all the time. But you can't expect to be guided by a GPS when you sit in the driveway. It's actually by having your car leave the driveway that the first turn left in 200 meters or whatever comes up, right? It's exactly like that. As you move out on the path, that's when clarity comes. So especially if you've been sitting in that paralysis for a while, if you're allowing it to like be this stagnant pool, which I get into this too, we just need to start trying things. We just need to start acting, getting out there, researching, going to a class, like having conversations, just get out into the field, and you will start to get more clarity on what works and what doesn't work. And from that place, you become a good student of life where you tune in and learn to really listen to that inner GPS and go like, yeah, I did like that pottery class, but I think next I want to try this other thing. Or yeah, I did like taking that course, but I don't feel like I want to do that as a career. So I think I'm going to go over to this similar thing that's a bit different or something totally different. Really knowing that clarity comes from action. So don't wait for clarity to act. Number 3, not understanding the laws of the universe. So I truly don't believe that you have to memorize all the laws. I'm a total geek of this stuff. So if you're into it, dive in. But you don't have to be able to recite it all and pretend that you're into quantum physics. If you're not, it's all good. But just understanding the way that this universe works. Most people rely on hustle and external strategies, ignoring the way that this actually works, the playground that we are in. So understanding key universal laws like, yes, the law of attraction, also the law of vibration, understanding that we are all vibrating molecules. Everything in the universe is made up of vibrating molecules. And then you bring that into the law of attraction, where like attracts like. Understanding also things like the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, and just at some point or another, doing some reading, watching a video, something, just until the point where you go, holy crap, it's true. Who we are being is what we will manifest. The energy we are putting out is what gets brought back to us, is what is attracted back to us. The universe meets us halfway with physics, with momentum, with universal law. And when you understand that, it takes the personal part out of it, meaning it's not personal, but it is a game of vibration. And when we understand who we are being and what we are putting out, and it's not just like, oh, you should be more positive and like shame, right? Oh, you should be more this. You're causing this. You're manifesting this, like that does not help. Shame and guilt does not frickin' help. And I hate when I hear, especially manifestation teachers, I don't say hate a lot, but like I hate when I hear people say, like, you created that. Even when something's going on and teachers will get you to inquire, like, what part of me created this? I get it for introspection. And if you are very fully resourced and knee deep in the work and you get what that means in a sacred way, sure. But no amount of like, this is your fault is ever going to help. We need to just understand the laws. It makes it so not personal. It's not about you doing a good or bad job. It's just understanding the external forces that are going on that make nature work. It's how reality works. It's not just you and what you're doing or not doing. So the third thing that we may be doing without realizing it is we don't understand the universal laws. And so I want to, if you want to look this up, I would just I'm trying to think of like where would be a good resource, but you could just start by Googling the universal laws or the laws of the universe that correspond with manifestation, or the laws of the universe manifestation. And you'll see pages come up that go like the 12 laws you need to know, or the 15 or the 10, and just reading through the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of oneness, the law of polarity, the law of attraction, law of vibration. These really help us to just get the way physics works and get the way that our energy works. Okay, number 4, and I say this with love. And as I just said about like I hate when coaches are like harsh and shamey, I'm not intending to be shamey. Okay, so number 4 is the victim mindset / not taking responsibility. And this can be tough. It kind of also comes into like waiting to be clear to act. There's a time and a place when we need to just take responsibility of creating the life that we desire. So I'm not saying take responsibility of like all this dumb shit you've done or all the crazy this. Like, again, it's not shame, but it's saying I'm in charge of my vibration. I am in charge of how much joy I feel. And when we become a victim, and some really common ones that happen are, and they happen again very unintentionally, but we go, I can't be abundant in this economy. Or I was never taught this, so I can't do it. Or my parents did something that like now my fate is because of what they did, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. Of course, we can't change what happened in the past. But when we stay a victim to anything outside ourselves, we are really just holding ourselves back. And you may not have been taught something, but now you can learn. Or there are people everywhere that are millionaires and bajillionaires, no matter what the climate. When some things in the economy go down, other things go up. So it's not a 100% law all the time that you can't be this because of this. This is what, and not everybody is meant for this path, but this is to me what it means: self-mastery, life mastery, becoming the deliberate creator. I am not a victim of anything, of my parents, of the economy, of being a woman, or having certain disadvantages, or being this or being that. When we let it hold us back, we hold ourselves in that vibration. So even sometimes people go like, I couldn't do an online business because I don't know social media. That's even in a way being a victim, not taking responsibility. I've seen so many clients that just need to learn, okay, how do I start an Instagram? How do I post a reel? What does it mean to have a podcast? And you can Google it. You can just very even basically learn, right? So when we start to take responsibility for our lives, when we realize that nobody, including the universe, can come up and save us, and we have to be the one to walk ourselves there. There's even things like big projects that I have that I want to do that I'm kind of like either waiting for clarity or like waiting until I meet some connections and then it'll help me. And I just, at some point, the day comes when the risk to remain tight in a bud is more than the risk it takes to blossom. And we say, F it. I am the one in charge of my health. I am the one in charge of my mind. To believe that we can't do something because of something else holds us stuck, and it's just not true. There are people that have gotten fit while being in a wheelchair, or people that have learned something even though they were never taught it, and maybe even have like a neurodivergence, what they would call a learning disability, some reason why they don't think they can. There was a guy on the podcast, the episode's going to come out in December, that was dyslexic and was told that he wouldn't be able to read well, had a hard time reading, but eventually learned that that was a limitation and trained himself. He just realized he had a different style of learning. And now he speed reads, and he was told he couldn't, right? So there is a time and place when we cannot blame our circumstances on others because it keeps us powerless, or circumstances that are out of our control, right? So often, and why this happens is because it's easier to stay stuck than to face hard truths and take responsibility. No human loves taking responsibility. I have a really hard time saying sorry or looking at certain things I do, but this is part of putting on your big girl pants, your seeker pants, your expanded human pants, and realizing I can do anything that I put my mind to. There must be a way. So one of the things we do is we stay in victim mindset, even when it's very subtle, and we don't take responsibility. Reclaim your power to change, to shift, to manifest. I want to put my fist up and go, woo! Okay, number 5, subtle negativity. So everybody in my community, my clients that come to me, positive people, generally can always see the bright side, even when they're struggling, that you have a deeper understanding, right? But sometimes, and I know I can have this, where it comes out like subtle negativity, subtle like, of course this happens, or I never get enough time, or no matter what I do, or, just frumpiness. And I'm not talking just a normal bad mood. Everybody has that. We fluctuate all the time, right? But it's persistent, subtle negative thoughts about like, I can never do this. There's no way I can. We just get into that subtle negativity. Our vibration starts to tank, and it limits our potential. It limits to what we are open and available to. So this makes us focus on our problems rather than possibilities. Focus on what we don't have rather than what's possible. And the future is happening in the future, forward, not backward. So noticing when you're like, oh yeah, that probably won't work, or crap, and oh yeah, another day, of course this happens to me, and just catching those things. And that's opportunity for deeper healing work. But I can't go into all the healing work today. Just realizing that those things want to be breathed through. So when you start to feel like, yeah, of course this is happening, or crap, another bill, and like I always get this, and you catch yourself in that, just stop, take a deep breath. You could even identify, like, where do I feel this in my body? Is it my stomach, my chest, my head, my shoulders? Just feel, breathe into it, and just and then I like to, optional if you want, reframe it into like, there must be a way, or even though I feel this, I'm open to possibilities, or just something gently that opens you up. So this subtle, persistent negativity, even when you consider yourself a really positive person, just watch out for that. Okay, number 6 is hustle mentality / pushing too hard. I just call this pushing in general, where we're forcing things, where we're creating burnout, where we're creating resistance, not results. So we have been taught as a society, most of us have been taught that more effort equals more success. What are they doing? They must be doing something I'm not doing. More hours, more time. And in essence, it's not always more effort. There are people that are millionaires that work around the clock, 80 days a week. 80 hours a week. And there's millionaires that are on yachts most of the time, literally doing almost nothing. More effort doesn't always equal more success. So forcing things and being in hustle is going to create burnout, and it creates more resistance. So really just watching when you're in a do without it being in a mindful place, when you're taking just a bunch of action instead of thinking about if it's aligned action. Notice when you're not resting. Notice when you're not taking downtime, whether it's in the evening or the weekends or over the course of the month or the season. Are you pushing too hard? Yes, we know you're a hard worker, but are you pushing too hard? So sometimes we get into this where we just are in that hustle, and sometimes it can even be inside our head. Like, I got to figure this out. What do I need to do? Oh my God. And that's pushing. It's just in our mind. Like, hurry up, figure it out. Oh my God, hurry it up. And the crappy part about that we don't even realize is it slows it down. The more open we are, the more inspired action driven we are, the actual quicker, the quicker it happens. But because we get desperate, because we literally have like a bill due here, or we need to make this money there, or this thing is happening like now, we feel that urgency. And that creates more urgency. It creates more stress. It creates more resistance. So just being aware when you're not resting, when you're not taking space, when you're maybe not taking aligned actions, just doing a bunch of stuff, or when you're feeling like you have to work hard for success. And more effort equals better. More effort is going to be success. And I just want to encourage you to just take a breath and just say that forward momentum happens in flow. Maybe saying, I don't have to push hard to be successful. That I believe in inspired action, not forced action. Inspired action goes further. It has more of a payoff. So maybe switching it inside to, I focus on not just any action, inspired action. Okay, number 7, and this is such a good one. We often are over-relying on logic and doing what's practical. So we're driven by this, right? Pick a practical job, pick a reliable career. We need benefits. We need this, we need that. And I believe in taking care of ourselves. I have 3 children. I get that we want to be safe and secure. It's not about that. But we overly rely on what we should do, on what's logical and what's practical. And I just want to say, if you are always doing what's practical, you are going to receive practical, logical results. But if you're here for a life that is anything but logical, anything but practical, a life that you experience magic and fulfillment and excitement and surprise and abundance and thriving, we cannot rely on only practical. Practical feels like the safe job that you hate your whole life just so that you can have a small amount of retirement money at the end. Barf. I want to make sure that I'm taken care of, yes, but I want a life of magic. I want a life of expression. I want a life of believing it's possible, of seeing myself on that vacation and then living it, seeing myself on stages and then creating it. I don't want practical. Because very few people, blah, 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 make it to this, or in this economy, it's hard to get blah, blah, blah. That's practical. That's logical. I don't want it. It feels boring. So I just want to say here, we do want to look after ourselves. I'm not saying quit your job and just start painting and putting it out on the street and hoping you can make your mortgage in a month. We do have to mind the physical because we care about ourselves. We care about our well-being. We care about having a roof over our head, etc. But in our mind, in our head, we want to lean into magic, into possibility. Practicality leads to safe. And that's different than trusting your inner guidance. That's different and is disconnected from your intuition and inspired action. When we look at what's practical, think of a diet, think of a way of eating. Like, what do people say to do? They say eat more vegetables and, eat fish, and maybe you could follow like a diet and you could do this and that. That may work for some, but it may not work for all. You don't just want to do what they say to do, right? Logic keeps you small, keeps you safe. Practical keeps you small, keeps you safe. So we need to balance looking after myself in this physical world. We don't ignore our jobs or ignore our taxes or ignore needing to make money, but we balance the two with, okay, right now I'm in this job that I'm becoming aware I don't super love. What if something wild and crazy and fun was next? Where could I put my energy to try to find a new career that lights me up? So it doesn't mean just putting yourself in danger. I just want to be really clear about that. But we just don't want to make every decision on what's logical, what's practical, when something is burning in your heart that is so beyond practical. That's why we don't do it, because it feels too out there. It's too big, it's too magical, it's too expansive. So when we listen to that voice, when we don't go for those magical, expansive, like, holy crap, blow my mind, magical life, we're not going to have it. We're not going to receive that. So over-reliance on logical, on practical, on what you should do will hold you back, because spirit is delivering some pretty wild and crazy ideas to you, right? The fullest expression of who you are is more than you can imagine. So to get the miracles, to get the over-the-top synchronicities and blessings, we have to think beyond logic and practicality. We want to start thinking, you know, it would be fun. Imagine if, I wonder how, and we want to start going there over being logical, practical, and safe. Okay, number 8 is we are often believing that the answers are out there instead of in here. So we all fall into this. Again, look in your life to where this comes up. When we believe that somebody else has the answers, that the answers are out there, it keeps us disconnected from our internal wisdom. When we think that somebody else has the magic fix, we don't listen to our inner guide. We don't listen and honor our own path. We don't listen to our own path. We don't honor it because we're always looking for out there, what they say, what they think, what they offer. So I want to say that I'm a self-growth lover. I have read tons of books, podcasts. I have coaches and mentors. It's not that we don't need external support, but if I hire someone going, they're going to have all the answers, they're going to fix me, it never turns out that way. I'm disappointed. It just creates resistance. And I've done that before in the past, especially with business. Like, they're going to give me the answer, their formula, their strategy. But what I've really believed, or what I've really experienced, and now I believe, is that we sample from all these other people. We sample from someone who has healed the thing. We've sampled from someone who has transformed their life and now feel so in purpose and they never used to. We sample from people that got sober or built a business or whatever it is you're going for, but not any one person has 100% of the answers for you. So it comes into a lot of the other things we're talking about, right? So if you were to get healthy and somebody else says, hey, I did this, I ate this, I worked out here, and you try it, it may not be exactly your plan, but you may take something from it and go, you know what? I loved that egg recipe and I loved how that person got up at 6 a.m. and just moved their body for 10 minutes. That's really something I've held with me. And you've taken it from them in a good way and duplicated it and brought it into your own experience. That is normal. That is being a seeker. That is, allowing mentors, authors, people to inspire you and help you. That's good. But when we continually think that the answers are out there, it disconnects us from our own wisdom. And I have done this so many times as I share. So just always remembering it's inside you. It's already there. Even me being a human design reflector, when I'm working with clients, I'm just reflecting. I'm reflecting parts of their life back to them, parts of their progress, parts of what I see in their soul or certain things, because I can offer it back to them and it will feel like truth because it's to do with them. It's not me saying, you know what you have to do is these 7 things. Now you go do it. And I try to fit them into some other mold. It's about uncovering the answers within themselves. And a lot of you know this, but the basis of coaching in general, and I consider myself more a mentor or a guide than a coach, but the essence of coaching is never to give advice. It's to ask the right questions so that the client uncovers their answers within themselves, which is really freaking powerful, right? People support you to uncover your own answers, to uncover your own journey. So the answers are not out there. We gather tools, we gather wisdom, we gather energy from people, and we release. Please always release what does not serve you from anyone, myself included. Just release what doesn't feel right and take the things that do. That's how you find your own answers. So believing the answers are out there and somebody else has the magic fix will definitely hold you back. Okay, so number 9, we're almost done, is perfectionism. And a lot of people struggle with this. I know it's very common. And this is like basically waiting for things to be perfect before you take action, or feeling like you need to do things perfectly. So I've seen people in business be like, oh, I can't get up my website because I need to keep going over the about page, or I need to keep doing this, or, they don't get a program out because it has to be perfect and they're worried about this and that. So I don't believe in sloppy work. I feel like, it's good to have clarity, and especially if you're talking about your work, to do a high caliber of work in, say, what I do or whatever your profession is, of course. But perfectionism holds us back because we think we have to be perfect, and then we judge ourselves. So maybe you're looking to get healthy and you're, again, waiting for clarity to act, or the perfectionism is like thinking that you have to be perfect within the plan. And then you get so in your head because you have to be perfect. The second you're quote unquote off the wagon, or you do something that's not in the plan, we get guilt and shame and all of that, which then causes more resistance. Then we don't go back, and then we become a failure in our own mind and all of this, right? So really celebrate progress over perfection. It is not perfect. A self-care routine is not perfect. Your mood is not perfect. Your actions moving forward is not perfect. My business is not perfect. All the time, people write me going like, oh, this link doesn't work, or this thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm on it. Like, I have to keep moving forward rather than pretending it has to be all perfect. That can prevent us from taking action, from going for the thing, standing up in front, at the board meeting and sharing our opinion because we think it has to be perfect. Being a parent is a huge lesson for me in lack of perfection, because you are so forced into it, meaning like you just have the child and like, bing, now you're a parent. If you don't know what to do, you're winging it. And that's a lot of what this life is. Source never expects you to be perfect. Your spirit team never expects you to be perfect. And that's why just acting activates the GPS, and then you get more clarity, because it's not about perfectionism. So it's not practice makes perfect. It's practice makes progress. It's better to just do it, to just wing it, to try it, to get it out there, than to worry about forever it being perfect to the point where you don't do anything about it. And if you're looking for a plan or a health thing, like even just say for the next 7 days, I'm going to try this. And then see what worked, see what didn't, take inventory, adjust, move on. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no one thing that you have to keep doing forever. Allow it to be more flexible and just get out there. Okay, the last thing that we're going to touch on that you may be doing to unintentionally hold yourself back, or not to, but that is unintentionally holding you back, is a lack of trust. And this is a really big one. There's many layers, but what I will say is sometimes we have a lack of trust in the universe, a lack of trust in life. When people say, I trust that everything is unfolding in divine timing. I trust that everything is in my highest good. When you go like, meh, right? That can be a lack of trust, and that's okay. Trust is something that you can't force, and it's not something that you just have, right? You have to experiment. You have to lean in and discover it for yourself. But the other layer is that we can have a lack of trust in ourselves, that we're not going to follow through, that we're not going to be able to do it, that we're going to let ourselves down. And often that comes from the past of doing that, of feeling like we let ourselves down or we didn't follow through. And that's okay. We could honor ourselves. But if we don't learn to create the trust, then we can't move forward with that certainty, which is going to really it's going to really hold us back. So a lack of trust in the process can look like trying to force, trying to push, getting really down on yourself, getting really like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Seeing, like, say you're trying to manifest money and then you get an unexpected expense that comes up, seeing that as like, crap, the universe is against me, or why is this happening? Going into victim. These are all signs that we're not trusting in the process. So instead of reacting, instead of judging it as right or wrong, or this is or isn't happening, we can just continue to ask, like, what is this teaching me? What is here for me in this? If this too was part of me moving forward, what would be the thing to learn from this? And looking at it from that perspective. And again, no one can beat trust into you. No one can give an inspiring enough, speech that you just trust. It is something that you learn. It's something that you practice. Noticing when doubt comes up, taking a breath, and even just saying to yourself, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to practice trust. I'm willing to be open to how this could be serving me, to how this could be moving me forward, to how I am truly meant for this, to how everything is unfolding in divine timing. I look at my past and I see how one thing led to another thing, led to another thing. If any of you like Wayne Dyer, his book, I Can See Clearly Now, it was, I believe, the last book that he wrote, but it was like a memoir on his life. So if you don't know him, it might be a little bit less interesting, but the key of the whole book is how all of these seemingly separate events of his life all were leading him. So I can see clearly now. So he'll tell about his story and he'll say, like, I can see clearly now that experience of being in an orphanage or having a father that walked away was teaching me self-resilience. And I can see why this marriage crumbled, or why I was called to do this, and why I struggled with alcohol, and then I finally put it down, and I now see that was calling me into, and it's such an inspiring book for just seeing someone else's life and go, holy crap, I've had that for sure, where this led to this, and if you didn't experience that, then you wouldn't have experienced this. And we can start to open up to trust in the process, to trust in life's unfoldings. And then, of course, learning to trust yourself. And my favorite tool for learning to trust yourself is learning to have integrity with your word with yourself. So saying to yourself, and I've done this with clients before, I don't have to promise anything, but everything I promise, I'm going to keep. So when you say to yourself, today I'm going to drink more water, come anything that comes your way, you will drink more water. Right now, you will chug it. Before bed, you will chug it if you forgot. Like, no matter what, you have to keep your word to yourself, but you don't have to dish out any actual promises. You're the one choosing the promises, and when you promise it, you hold it. And that was a big wake-up call for me, because I would always say, like, today I'm going to do this, and then, I didn't get to it, and tomorrow I'm going to do that, and Monday I'm going to do that. And I learned that was causing a lack of trust in myself because I didn't really mean it. But when I said, no one's making me promise anything, so I don't have to promise anything, but what I do promise, I must keep. And that was its own challenge for myself, to learn to trust myself, to learn to show up for myself. Because if somebody else was saying, hey, I'll be there at 2, hey, I'll totally do yoga with you, hey, we'll do that on the weekend, and they never followed through, you wouldn't trust them either, right? So learning to be in integrity with your word when it comes to yourself. And then learning to look back and really explore what trusting in the process means for you. Okay, so these things that you may be doing that are keeping you holding yourself back or keeping you feeling stuck, that are completely unintentional. It was comparing yourself to others. Number 2, waiting for clarity to act. Number 3, not understanding the laws of the universe. Number 4, victim mindset / not taking responsibility. Number 5 was subtle negativity. Number 6 was hustle or pushing too hard. Number 7 was over-reliance on logic and only doing what's practical. Number 8 is believing that the answers are out there. Number 9 was perfectionism. And number 10 is lack of trust in the process. So I hope this resonated with you. I would love to hear about it. Come find me over on Instagram. The link is below. Tag me, send me a DM. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway. And if you're ready to go deeper into this, come to the year-end workshop. And if you haven't already, join On the Path. If you love this podcast, if you want more and even more direct mentorship, tangible tools, deep dives, you've got to make your way over to On the Path. It is awesome. It is so exciting. We're just coming up on a year, and it is my membership. So it's only $27 a month. You can cancel at any time, and you get a whole world of other recordings, meditations, trainings, processes, challenges, deep dives, and every single week we do a weekly assignment where we focus on one thing. We might be writing out evidence of our success. We might be focusing on taking inspired action. We just did creating an altar. Sometimes it's self-love. Sometimes it's nervous system regulation. We focus on one thing each week to move forward on the path. I got your back. If you're here for transformation, manifestation, and radical change, definitely continue tuning in here to the Awakening Her podcast, as well as joining On the Path. And with that, I'm out. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Awakening Her podcast, your go-to for real-life manifestation. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. Reviews really help the show. You can also find me after the show on Instagram at Talia Joy Manifestation. And listen, love, I know that you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and hustling and doing a bunch of stuff, and you're ready to make the money you want to make, to feel the way you want to feel. And if this is the case for you, then you are absolutely in the right place. I'm so excited. And if you're ready to jump into the implementation, you can check out On the Path. The link is below. Remember, all manifestation starts on the inside. I'll see you in the next episode.